Hello, and welcome to Glanbia's Dairy Focus. With the warm weather of late, Thermodurics become a real concern on many dairy farms. Glanbia Ireland Milk Quality Manager Tom Phelan takes us through the aspects of the milking parlour and the dairy that are crucial in controlling a thermoduric issue or preventing a rise in thermodurics and maintaining excellent milk quality.
Hi, my name is Tom Phelan and I'm Milk Quality Manager at Glanbia Ireland, and I just want to take you through a few quick checks that you can go through in your own dairy and parlour when looking for a cause of a thermoduric issue. Okay, so one of the main reasons why suppliers get a high thermoduric count in their milk is due to an inadequate wash routine. So one of the first places to check is the Clockies. You're looking here, both the base of it and in the cup. Just check to see if there's any biofilm, any build up there. So any biofilm here will harbour thermoduric bacteria, which is one of the telltale signs of thermoduric counts in milk. Okay, so another problem you often find on farm is a dirty vacuum line. You find the tap for this at the end of your parlour. It's just a matter of attaching a hose to it and sucking in water through it. If you've never done this before, it's very important to probably just get your milk machine technician to talk you through the first one, just to make sure you don't overflow the interceptor valve. Okay, so another part of the milk machine that can often be a thermoduric issue is the receiver jar and the sanity jar, and the pipe leading between the two of them. They can often hold a build up and not wash correctly. Also in parlours you have these levers that can be moved between the wash and the milking cycle, and it can leave parts of the machine unwashed. So it's always important just to check these different pipes coming into the receiver jar and the sanity jar that they're always washed. Okay, so what we see on farm now in Icebit is the main reason maybe for a build-up in the machine is due to a lack of hot water and lack of water itself. Something that can easily be done at home in the parlour is just to measure the wash drop. So if you get the length will say 0.6 metre, depth 0.5, and the width 0.4. Multiply all them and you get 0.12 of a cubic metre of water. So there's 1,000 litres in a cubic metre, multiply it to then 120 litres. This then is my wash drop, so there should be 9 litres of water per unit. So divide your 9 litres by 120 and that'll give you the number of units that this wash drop is sufficient to wash for. So another thing to check regularly, a lot of machines and tanks these days are automatic dosing. So if you're ever unsure that the incorrect volume of detergent has been taken in, just fill up your measuring cup and know exactly what you put into it, and then put the pipe into it and see what volume of detergent has gone from it.
Over the next few days, we'll be posting a more in-depth video on the issue of thermodurics, where they come from, how to manage it, and how to prevent it in the future. With calves having been grazing for a couple of weeks or months now at this stage, they have been exposed to parasites. So let's look at what steps to take to make the right decision on whether to dose your calves or not, and which calves to dose. Now that the calves have been grazing for a couple of weeks, we have to start thinking about parasite exposure and whether or not those calves need to be treated for parasites. Now, the level of exposure for calves really depends on the type of land that they're grazing, and if they are turned out to land that was grazed by calves in a previous grazing season, then you have to assume that there is a reasonable level of contamination. And those worms, or some of them anyway, will have survived over the winter. So calves are turned out to pasture, and in the current conditions, worms have thrived, so the calves will have picked up those worms. The most straightforward way of testing that really is taking 10 or 15 calves out of the group and taking a pooled dung sample from them. The lab will then do a fecal egg count test, and that will tell you whether or not the calves have actually been significantly exposed. If the result doesn't tell you that there's been significant exposure, there's no need to be dosing those calves just yet. Hold off a few more weeks, or maybe until they've been turned out to another paddock that you feel might be more heavily contaminated. Another way of monitoring the calves is obviously their performance, and as long as calves are growing at the rate that you were hoping to do based on the feed that's in front of them, so good quality grass, a bit of concentrate, if the calves are performing well, there should be no need to be dosing those calves because the parasites are clearly not having an effect on their performance. If you have access to clean pasture, that's obviously better for young calves. And clean pasture would be reseeded land that was cut for zero grazing or for silage. And if the youngest calves are turned out to those, there's very low chance that they will pick up parasites from that land. The more contaminated the land is, the more you need to pay attention to whether or not parasite treatment is necessary. If you have any more questions on any of the topics covered in this episode, please talk to your local Glanbia representative or log on to glanbiaconnect.com.